Thank you, Chair, and thank you, witnesses, for showing up in our study here. Ambassador Ray, you had mentioned Gaza as well as other series of issues with respect to forced migration, refugee crisis. When we think about these types of issues, as you well know, disputed borders, international laws, compacts between countries, negotiations, all compel refugee and migration crisis in big part. At the United Nations, you voted initially on behalf of this government against Israel, and in a hot mic moment, you got caught saying, "Let's see how that flies." Let me ask you, how's it been flying?
Well, thank you for your question, Mr. Majumdar. As you well know, the vote decisions that are taken by the Government of Canada. These are not votes that are taken against any country, and certainly not against Israel. I think the policies that Canada has adopted are policies that are based on reason, are based on international law, and are based on the need for a two-state solution, for a political path away from where we are today, and an urgent response to the depth of the crisis in Gaza, which I think most people would recognize, and certainly all the people that are working in the field are telling us, from UNICEF to the World Food Program, to all the agencies that are working in the region, is one of the worst and most serious humanitarian situations that's been faced. And I appreciate your question.
Well, notwithstanding the UNRWA issues of how that institution of the United Nations has been supporting terrorism directly, you said you take direction from the Government of Canada, and I appreciate that. Usually you get a position from the Prime Minister, you get a position from the Foreign Minister, and now you get another position from the Special Advisor for the Jewish community and anti-Semitism. May I ask, which position is it that you reflect when you're voting against Israel at the United Nations?
Well, you should know me better, Mr. Majumdar, to know that I'm not going to take any political bait that's thrown my way. I take advice, my leadership, and I take my instructions from the Government of Canada. I can assure you, when those instructions are given to me, they're given to me on the basis of a joint position by the Government of Canada, and those are the positions that I represent at the United Nations.
I do have
point of order. The purpose of the study today is on migration, so I would just the purpose of our study is on migration, and I'm noticing that my honourable colleague opposite is not asking questions about migration. So,
Mr. Majumdar, I believe strongly this is out of our topic. Would you please come back to our topic regarding immigration? Thank you.
International agreements, discussions of the United Nations, UN agencies that deal with matters of migration are at the source of the topic here, and the ambassador had raised the issue of Gaza, so I'm picking up on that thread a little bit. But let me ask a little bit further, Ambassador Ray. You had mentioned your chairmanship of ECOSOC and looking at how other jurisdictions would be managing migration pressures and refugee pressures. How do you think Canada is doing in dealing with its own migration pressures?
I think Canada has, at the present time and historically, has had a remarkable record of welcoming people. We're a country that I think has become the country that we are because of immigration and because of migration. I think everyone knows that. I think our reputation in that regard is very strong. I've had recent meetings with Amy Pope from the International Office of Migration, as well as with the head of the UNHCR, Filippo Grandi, just a couple of weeks ago, in fact. And in both those meetings, they stressed how refreshing it was to be able to continue to engage with us on issues where there was a strong sense of mutual understanding, a strong sense of mutual respect, and where they were very, very aware of the way in which we had chartered a course which they felt very strongly was supportive of the work that they were trying to do, as well as something that represents immense importance to the world. For example,
respectfully, I appreciate your view on that. I think a lot of people in Canada might disagree with how effective we've been at dealing with some of these pressures at home.